Hello, my name is James Inciardi, and this is my presentation about interstitial lung disease. I took this case from an article in the New England Journal. Sorry I can't be here to go over it with you, but I'm working right now, so I'm doing this recording instead. So here is our patient, Mr. Cody Brown. He's a brief overview of his life so far. Based on his appearance, you wouldn't really guess that he had a hard life growing up. He was orphaned just after high school, and a period of homelessness followed, during which time he indulged in a polysubstance abuse problem. But to his credit, he pulled himself out of this dark episode of his life, married a clothing store owner, and currently he works as a drywall installer. He smoked a pack a day for 25 years and just quit in April. In his spare time, he plays racquetball and baseball. As for his medical history, he has hypertension and GERD. He takes lisinopril, omeprazole, prednisone, and that's an antibiotic. I can't pronounce it, but that's an antibiotic. Okay. All right. So Cody's problems began in January when his wife took him to the ER with shortness of breath. He was diagnosed with pneumonia, treated with azithromycin, and discharged home. But then in April, he went to another hospital outside the area complaining of shortness of breath. A CT scan showed ground glass opacities in both lungs. No pathogenic bacteria were found. He was treated with vancomycin, ceftriaxone, and prednisone, which helped a little bit, and then he was discharged home with supplemental oxygen. So now he shows up at your hospital ER complaining of shortness of breath. So here's the result of his physical exam, and I'm just going to be quiet for a few seconds so that you can read it. Okay, think to yourself now, what would be your differential diagnosis? Well, a few things that you might want to consider. One is a smoking history. This history, along with hypoxia and his cachectic appearance, are alarming for cancer. Although 42 is a little early in life for lung cancer, it can happen. Also, his history of polysubstance abuse concerning for HIV. His family history of rheumatoid arthritis may also be important because sometimes rheumatoid arthritis can manifest as shortness of breath. He works as a drywall installer, and that places him at risk for several occupational hazards, including you might inhale asbestos, or silica, or aluminum, or talc, or a bunch of other different kind of dust particles. One thing to remember is that he's on prednisone now, and so that will mask if he has a fever. Okay, so here's his labs. I'll be quiet for a little bit so you can look at that. Okay, so let's take a look at the A gradient in conjunction with the diffuse ground glass infiltrates. Remember that a normal A gradient is 10 to 25 on room air or 30 to 50 on 100% FiO2. And remember, this patient is now on 100% FiO2 and 35 liters per minute. So that arouses concern for ILD, probably caused by VQ mismatch, or a limitation of diffusion, or both. Okay. All right, so here's a CT scan. In the picture marked A and B, we see ground glass opacities where the asterisks are in the upper lobes, and in C and D, we can see lower lobe consolidations where the asterisks are. We can also see air bronchograms where the arrows are pointing. Okay, so skipping ahead to the treatment, he was diagnosed with pulmonary alveolar proteinosis, which is a rare disease that's marked by alveolar filling of this milky liquid, like kind of lipid-rich proteinaceous material that is accompanied by large foamy alveolar macrophages and a few inflammatory cells. This disease usually manifests in progressive exertional dyspnea with a non-productive cough, fatigue, along with weight loss. Usually this is considered to be an autoimmune disorder, where the GM-CSF is targeted. What's the GM-CSF? Well, it's a hematologic growth factor that has receptors in alveolar type 2 cells in the lungs. Remember, those are the cells that produce surfactant. It stimulates the maturation of alveolar macrophages, which are needed for surfactant catabolism. And as you see from the next slide, he underwent 3 bronchoalveolar lavages, and a year later he is doing fine and not requiring supplemental oxygen. Good for Mr. Brown. All right, and that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to read this case study for yourself, you can find it in the New England Journal from last year. And thank you very much.